What if the oldest, most complete Bible in existence wasn't in Rome, but in the highlands of Africa? What if everything we thought we knew about Christian history, about Jesus, the angels, the origins of evil, was rewritten by a forgotten canon preserved outside of Vatican control? This isn't just a theological twist, it's a power shift, because buried in the mountains of Ethiopia is a version of Christianity the West never fully controlled, and some say the Vatican has spent centuries trying to ignore it. This is a story of spiritual resistance, forgotten texts, and a global faith that may have started in Jerusalem, but found its fiercest guardians in Africa. High in the rugged landscapes of Ethiopia, cloaked in monastic silence and ancient ritual, lies a version of the Bible the world rarely talks about. Known as the Ethiopian Bible, it's not just old, it's ancient. Thought to be the oldest and most complete canon on earth, this scripture includes books that the Roman Catholic Church abandoned, rejected, or buried. While Protestants read from 66 books and Catholics from 73, the Ethiopian Bible includes up to 81, with texts that radically challenge mainstream theology. Some of them were lost to the West for centuries. Books like the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, 1 to 3 Meqabyan, and other ancient writings long excluded from Rome's version of Christianity. The Bible isn't just a book. It's a curated history, a selective telling of spiritual truth. And when one version holds more books, older versions, and radically different theology, questions start to form. Who decided what counted as sacred? And why were some stories erased? In the 4th century, when Rome was still wrestling with its pagan past, Ethiopia had already declared Christianity its state religion. But unlike European converts, the Ethiopians didn't accept the gospel filtered through Latin priests or Greek philosophers. They went straight to the source, translating scripture from ancient Semitic languages like Gizi, a language so old it predates Arabic and is still used today in liturgy. They practiced baptism by immersion, observed dietary laws rooted in the Old Testament, and kept holy days no Western church recognizes. While Rome centralized doctrine through councils and political alliances, Ethiopia preserved a decentralized, mystical, and Semitic Christianity, untainted by papal politics or colonial conquest. And that independence? It would become a problem. Because to the Vatican, Christianity was meant to flow outward, from Rome to the rest of the world. Not the other way around. Ethiopia flipped the script. If one book from the Ethiopian canon has unsettled the Vatican the most, it's the Book of Enoch. Why? Because it completely reshapes the Christian narrative. It tells the story of fallen angels, watchers, who descend to earth, take human wives, and produce a race of giants. These Nephilim corrupt the world, leading God to send a flood. Enoch travels through the heavens. He learns the secrets of the universe, the names of archangels, the mechanics of time, and the roots of evil. It's cosmic, dangerous, and deeply mystical. And the strange part? The Book of Enoch was once widely read by early Christians. Even the New Testament's Epistle of Jude quotes it directly. But then, it vanished, removed from the Roman canon, buried by councils like Nicaea, censored as heretical. Only one place kept it alive, Ethiopia. To this day, the Ethiopian Church reads and honors Enoch. For them, it's not a fringe apocalyptic vision, it's truth. It's a lens into divine mysteries. For over 1,000 years, the Book of Enoch was considered lost. Western scholars referred to it as a myth, a ghost book mentioned by early fathers like Tertullian or Clement of Alexandria. But in the 18th century, British explorer James Bruce entered Ethiopia and emerged with something unthinkable: a complete manuscript of Enoch, still read and preserved by Ethiopian monks. It sent shockwaves through European academia. How could a book quoted in the New Testament be excluded from the Bible? And how did Ethiopia, a country dismissed as theologically irrelevant by Rome, preserve it? Suddenly, the Vatican had a problem. The very foundations of scriptural authority began to look unstable. And if one lost book survived in Ethiopia, how many others did too? The Ethiopian canon isn't just longer. It's different. In addition to Enoch, it includes books like Jubilees, 1 to 3 Meqabyan, distinct from the Catholic Maccabees, and dozens of Gospels, Psalms, and Apocalypses that Western Christianity either lost or suppressed. These texts present a radically different image of Christ, as a cosmic being of eternal wisdom, pre-existent before creation. They explore angelic hierarchies in stunning detail, and they don't shy away from mysticism. Some echo themes found in early Gnostic writings. Others offer spiritual cosmologies that challenge heaven and hell binaries. They suggest that the soul's journey is more complex than a single judgment, that divine knowledge is layered, and that truth was scattered across time and only preserved by those outside Rome's reach. To embrace these books would mean unraveling centuries of dogma, and that was never an option. In the holy city of Aksum, Ethiopia, lies one of the most extraordinary claims in religious history. Guarded in a small chapel by a single monk who never leaves the compound, is what Ethiopians believe to be the actual Ark of the Covenant. The one carried by Moses. The one that disappeared from Jerusalem thousands of years ago. Most scholars scoff at the claim. The Vatican never officially comments. But silence doesn't equal disinterest. If true, or even credible, this would make Ethiopia the true inheritor of the Old Testament's divine power. Not Rome. Not Jerusalem. But a small East African nation the West once colonized and dismissed. This same nation once crowned emperors with the title, Elect of God. Haile Selassie, Ethiopia's last emperor, traced his lineage directly to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. For Ethiopians, the Ark isn't a legend, it's a living link to God. And if the Vatican were ever to acknowledge that, the entire axis of Christian power would tilt. In the 16th and 17th centuries, Jesuit missionaries tried to bring Ethiopia under papal control. They failed, spectacularly. Unlike the rest of Africa, Ethiopia was never colonized. Its church never bowed to Rome. Its theology never aligned with papal orthodoxy. The Ethiopians had their own calendar, their own saints, their own rites. They saw Rome not as a spiritual guide, but as an imperial threat. Jesuits condemned Ethiopian theology as corrupted. The Ethiopians expelled them. Rome tried again during Italy's colonial ambitions in the 20th century. It failed again. Ethiopian monks and scholars held their ground. They didn't need Rome's approval. They had their own synods, their own councils, their own ancient texts. And ever since, the Vatican's posture toward Ethiopia has been one of polite distance. But distance doesn't mean disinterest. Because Ethiopia represents more than a rival theology, it represents a rival authority. So does the Vatican fear the Ethiopian Bible? Not in the Hollywood sense. No one's burning scrolls in secret catacombs. But in terms of narrative control? Absolutely. The Ethiopian Canon challenges the very idea that Rome defines Christianity. It suggests that a fully African, fully independent Christian tradition existed before papal dominance, and preserved scriptures Rome lost or erased. It exposes a history of theological erasure, political manipulation, and cultural bias in the formation of the Bible we know today. It dares to suggest that God's revelation wasn't bound to European cathedrals, but whispered through African mountains. And it brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Christianity didn't begin in Rome. It began in the East, in the deserts, mountains, and rivers where prophets walked barefoot and fire fell from the sky. Maybe, just maybe, the version of that story preserved in Ethiopia is closer to the original than what we've been taught. The Ethiopian Bible isn't just an ancient artifact. It's a living testimony to a version of Christianity untouched by Western hands. Its books tell stories the Vatican didn't want told. Its theology whispers truths Rome tried to forget. And its existence raises a question too dangerous to answer. What if the greatest Christian truths were never in the West at all? If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to support our journey, like and subscribe. Help us uncover more lost narratives that challenge history, shake empires, and reveal what was hidden. Because sometimes what's left out is more powerful than what's left in.
Africa.